I hope you all have had a really joyous Christmas celebration. And even though like none of us could figure out, are you open on Monday after thank Christmas or New Year's? Now we're all back on track and on schedule. And I'm so excited that my first Facebook Live of 2023 is with yours truly, Dr. Monika Buerger. Welcome.
Oh, I'm excited that I'm your first.
Yeah, you're my first, baby. And to all of you, thank you for joining us. Pop in the comment section and just say hello. We probably have met you or we know your name and we'd love to just personally say hello to you. So in the comment section, say hi and we'll make sure we give you a shout out. So we're coming together today with all of you because we all love kids. We love kids. We love chiropractic. We love life, making a difference. And this lady, as we all know, has dedicated her absolute being to educating and caring for and treating and helping us and kids from all around the world to be able to live the way that God designed us. So, Monika, what is going on in the neurology of the unborn and the born and the growing?
Oh, we were going to keep this to a short snippet, right? But that's a huge question. Well, really, a lot, sadly, is changing as a result of the Sharsh show. I'll try to keep it clean here. Of the ongoings, especially the ongoings of the last 3 years. We knew before that time the stress load on parents to be, pregnant parents and little fiddle farts was growing, right? We knew that. We saw that with environmental stressors, with technology, with food sources, with the whole thing. But Barbara, the scary part is knowing versus knowing, meaning we knew all those stressors and we were seeing the manifestation of those in our kiddos, in our offices, right? The rise in autism and so on and so forth. But now we're seeing research come out and we're seeing such things as fMRIs and what is really happening with the brain during development, in the fetal development, and those little baby fiddle farts, and what's happening in the adolescent brain as a result of these stressors. So we're knowing it from clinical research standpoint, and that's, my friend, is what is hurts my heart.
Well, to see evidence all around us, and then to be called the things that we're called, because
Crazy.
we're not even like theorizing. We're just looking at the trail of evidence and the like putting this and this together makes this, right? And so it does become difficult, right? It does become like, I just want to wave the right white flag, or like you and I talked about before we got on today, is adaptability. Like the stressors have now added up to so much. The ability to, and I think even the drive, discipline wise, has really just come under attack. What from a neurological standpoint, what's happening neurologically that adaptability is so reduced?
That's a great question. And this pertains to what we were talking a little bit before we went on live, between docside, mentor, friends, colleagues, every patient, every 98% of the patients in my practice, family member, across the board. And we see this from a neuropsych realm too, is people are tired. Their souls are tired. Their bodies and their brain is tired. And so a lot of people think it's just me, why can't I handle, I used to be able to do X, Y, and Z before, or this thing wouldn't set me off. And now I'm like short on the trigger and I snap faster. And I hear this all day long, every day. What I've told a lot of people, and this has seemed to help comfort them in the fact that you're not alone. This is not a weakness of yours. This is not that you're less than, you're not able to. Please get that out of your brain. Now, we're going to also see this in future generations. Okay. So this is a twofold conversation I want to have here. We are going to see this in those little fiddle farts that we're seeing, the fMRI, the brain changes, and the adolescents, and we're seeing it now in our adults. So what happens is when we are stuck in the brain real estate space is the same as if you and I have both had some fun challenges this last year, right? I mean, and we've been doing a lot of physical rehab and it hasn't been so great, right? And so in order to get ourselves back, let's say our lower extremities, right? We had to go to physical, we had to rework, for me, it was all my extremities, but
yeah,
we had a lot of atrophy of our injured extremities. And so you could see that atrophy, right? From the good leg to the bad leg. And so you went through physical rehab, physical therapy, worked it hard to regain that muscle in the injured leg. Brain is the same way. Whatever it's fed, whatever its thoughts, whatever it's the way it perceives the environment, what it hears on social media or radio or TV or anything that comes into our brain, depending the type of information, that part of the brain gets exercised and gains more real estate. Okay. The area of the brain that has gained ground in these last 3 years from multiple reasons, right? Is the area of the brain, I call it the fear monger. It's the emotional part of our brain, this amygdala, that is so incredibly powerful. It gains ground, man, it gets a stronghold on you. And then when that happens, the reasonable, rational part of your brain, your prefrontal cortex, that what we can sit back and go, wait a minute, I don't have to live in this fight or flight, fearful mode. Okay, that isn't true. That story that I've been thinking, that I've been seeing, that I've been hearing, that's not true.
right.
Part of the brain goes offline. So now we are living in a constant stress response mechanism. And our HPA axis it's shifted. And over time, if this is constant, the human brain, the human nervous system was designed to really thrive in short spurts. But in long, continuous hauls, the same story, the same mantra, it shifts. And now your HPA axis, your adaptability, your nervous system's ability to adapt to your environment, your stressors, now starts to shrink. Now, the sad part is what we're seeing with newborns, Barbara, newborns, little fiddle farts, as well as adolescents, as a result of the stressors from the pandemic. The part of the brain that's gaining real estate is that part that's going to hold us hostage to our stress response mode, to our fear monger. The part in adolescence that is aging, that is thinning, it's thinning, Barbara, is the part of the brain that's part of our executive functioning load. So now you and I and a lot of adults are recognizing that through the years, our ability to respond is and adapt and keep pushing and pushing and pushing is now shifted from maybe this zone to, depending on all your stressors. The problem is the kiddos are going to be growing up from the get-go with a less ability to adapt. And that is known as the developmental origins of health and disease.
Mm.
So that sets our set point for health across the board: mental health, physical health, emotional health. So there you have it in a nutshell.
So I guess the layman's terms of this would be something like, okay, so our parents in their vat of neurology, there was more real estate in that vat of neurology for adaptability. And you know, we can look at all the stressors: physical, chemical, emotional, and technological, right? So technological, not so much. And the other things, you know, I was walking with some girlfriends over the weekend, and we were just talking about moms nowadays. Like, my heart goes out to them. Like, oh my gosh, like, you're terrified to take a picture of yourself doing anything with your child for fear somebody on social media is going to be like, oh my gosh, you use that spoon? Like, oh, I can't believe you use that
How
spoon because
dare you?
this spoon, right? Like, how dare you? Don't you know anything? And I just can't even imagine. And mamas, I just want to tell you, I see you, I love you. Do you? And please make sure you're surrounded with individuals who support you doing you. And instead of looking to see all the things you're doing wrong, to see all the things you're doing right. And I also just want to remind all of you mamas that get yourselves worked up, and daddies too, of you know, I don't want to like screw up my kids. You're gonna, it's okay, we all make it through, you know. Like, I used
Exactly.
to say to my kids all the time, I'm a total rookie at this. I am a total rookie. This is my first rodeo. I'm gonna screw up. I have nothing but love in my heart for you, and I'm still gonna screw up. And so I want to invite you all, just take a beautiful breath and know that it's going to be okay. And so of that real estate, neurologically, we have less adaptability real estate than our parents did, and now our generation is raising individuals that have even more. I'm guessing that, so if we know the amygdala gets fired with stress, worry, boredom, concern, or feeling trapped, that is it. And if the brain is kind of like a muscle, then it must be getting that the amygdala is getting larger or denser in comparison to prefrontal cortex
Yeah. And well, not, it's
in ratios.
it's getting stronger. It's getting more stronghold time.
Like
So
it
it's
ignites easier.
yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
And that's why a lot of people are saying, you know, God, I used to handle. I had to pay a single mom come in a couple weeks ago, and she was just beside herself. She goes, Dr. B, I'm doing so much better with all the, you know, she had post-COVID syndrome and she's doing better and all this stuff. She goes, I'm doing so much better that way. Thank you. She goes, but I, something happened over the weekend and I don't know. She goes, she was going to sell something on eBay. I don't know. She was going to sell something and she took it out and it fell and it broke. And she goes, I just had to come apart. Like those things used to never bother me or, you know, anything. And she goes, just the littlest things now. So I sat down with her and I said, you know, this kind of talk, and just from hearing that, it just made her feel better that, okay, it's not me, it is globally a society. And I think that's something important that we should be mindful of in helping our patients, and be mindful for them to help their kiddos too. If we can change that intergenerational story. And so if parents now know, like, you know, it's okay. It's okay for me to say no to things. It's okay for me to not overbook myself, not, you know, have Johnny in 12 different activities at one time. Johnny's going to be okay if he's only doing 2 activities, you know, kind of thing.
Right.
And help our younger generation and our parents, those parents, help them foster and instill that in the offspring, which will help them actually cultivate a better adaptability.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that the great news is let's all remember that the brain is like we have lots of plasticity, right?
Yeah.
And the story isn't done. We've all been through a lot these last 4 years, and there's still more chapters to come. One of the things that I'm doing with my clients, and I started this for myself, kind of honestly through this past year that you and we've all gone through. For those of you who don't know, both Monica was in an accident just a few days before I was last year. And so we have really grown close this past year. Not misery loves company, but man, we have really needed to lean on each other, because some days, like, just somebody else who's in it understands. So at any rate, we love all of you for your prayers and your love and your support of us over this past year.
Thank you.
It definitely has given us a sensitivity. And one of my coaches says, everyone's doing the best they can given the thinking that appears real to them. And I think this past year has taught me more than anything, like, lead in kindness and unsuspicions, just like kind of a blank slate. And so this surviving, thriving, or bliss, like, what if we just like didn't measure, but I just invite doctors, invite parents, those who maybe your child is a fur child or whatever, to what if instead we just looked at, like, am I surviving to, like, how did I do today in these certain categories of my life? Like, mine is my physical health, my mental health, my spiritual health, like my commitment and my follow through in my business. Like, for today, am I a surviving, am I a thriving, or am I a bliss? Like, cool. Like, I bumped that up by one level. Woo! Like, that's awesome. And not that I've lowered the standard, but I've set my reticular activating system, my RAS, to bliss, versus all of the other crazy ways. And I think one of the things, actually, on 2 different coaching calls this morning, we talked about this, our setups. Develop your setups. Like, for instance, the practice member who broke something, when you feel that, like, what's my setup? What's my go-to? What's my DTR? Like, when I feel that, like, I've learned to get grounded, right? Like, get my feet on the ground if I'm standing, like, get a little bit of a flex, or if I'm sitting, 3 deep breaths. And then I go like this. Oh, wait, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Nothing in the world has changed. I'm okay. As silly as it sounds, it just kind of like,
well, if me, I can't help myself from a neurological standpoint. That is really creating you're coming back into your body, and you can now connect with what we call our sense of self. So our sense of self, you're saying, okay, I am safe, I'm okay. You're bringing that prefrontal cortex back on, and so you're actually doing a whole lot by doing that.
Yeah, and just like setups. And I think, like, what you were just talking about, just think if we decided there's a lot that we can't change, right? Like, we can't change all of the deceit that comes off that screen, that comes off the big idiot tube. We can't change all that. But what we can do, and what we can model for our practice members, for our friends, for our family members, for our children, we can model for them setups.
Yep.
This is what happens when someone cuts you off on the highway. I love you, instead of giving them the finger. I'm not saying it's easy, but cognitive rehearsal, right? And myelination. And we only learned flipping somebody off because someone showed us.
Exactly. I call them butterfly blesses. I just send them butterfly blessings.
Love you. Kinda. Yeah, absolutely. And so let's talk about, how do we help people who, our practice members are coming in. There's recently, you told me about a new court case that just came down, of finally a healthcare system is being held liable for their intrusion of freedoms of healthcare freedom, and now they're going to be responsible for forcing people to be vaccinated. What about, like, can you give us some reassurance from a neurological standpoint of if someone has been vaccinated and what do we do to help?
You taking more for like preconception, prenatal kind of, well, across the board.
Yeah.
So yeah, what we know that this little invasive protein happens to be the reason it's causing so much systemic issues is because of its ability to, for a lack of a better term, kind of bore into the blood vessels and creep through, and then migrates, right? And so we've got blood control everywhere, right? Heart, lungs, liver, blah blah blah. It has it has a little special liking for certain areas, like the male and female reproductive organs, like the liver, the pancreas. So these are key organs that, and the brain. Sorry, guys, but they are seeing it in some postmortem autopsy of people that have had the natural infection. Okay. So, moral of the story is if we can get them to get under care before conception would be great. If they're ready, if they've already conceived, trying to live the most clean life that you can meet them with at their ability. You know, we have to kind of take them for what they're able to implement. You know, a lot of people are stressed out and they can only say, give me 1 or 2 steps and that's all I can do. With pregnant moms, one of my concerns would be is the stress on the liver. Liver and gallbladder go together during stress. So we might see more preeclampsia situations, more gallbladder issues. And those are some of my concerns. So one, you have to support the gut. The vagus nerve has been shown over and over to be trashed in this whole mess. And that is going to be our number one anti-inflammatory crusader, right? It controls the anti-inflammatory arm of the immune system. So you've got to support the gut with eating as healthy as possible, with some probiotics and prebiotics and just some basic things. You don't have to dive into a deep rabbit hole like I do, but get some basic things under wraps. I would one of the things I'm concerned about is because of the magnified stress on the liver and gallbladder are needed to modulate estrogens. So my concern is, are we going to start to see more and more fertility issues and miscarriages and etc. So if we can support the liver and gallbladder and help to funnel off those estrogens to keep things in balance, that's a really good thing we should look at too. And some very simple things are dandelion root tea and milk thistle tea. I just want to give you some very basic things. We can go much deeper into that, but those are some basic things that usually are tolerable, implementable for most women. And then the other thing is a caveat is if they did have the jibby jab or the natural form or anything, the big push was Tylenol. Tylenol was a big push in that first year of COVID. If you have a fever, a headache, or achiness from anything, take Tylenol. Tylenol, those of us that have been working in the autism world for the last couple of decades have known the implications of Tylenol. It wipes out our master antioxidant that zaps out all the free radicals. It's called glutathione. So we've known that for a couple of decades. Now, actually, fast forward, there's a class action lawsuit going on with regard to Tylenol / acetaminophen. and if your child has autism. So I'd like to, I would really be good on supporting that liver, as that's where this glutathione is so important. And that's another area I'd look closely at.
You know, it makes me think of a really fun thing is to give gifts, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether that's, you know, like I'm a huge fan of giving gifts in your practice of things that you want to see people continue to use, right? So a basket for a mama that has dandelion and milk thistle teas, right? Of like, this is the best no stretch, like anti-stretch mark cream. It just so happens to have all of these things that also support the liver and whatnot. And you know, as long as it like smells really good, and you know, this essential oil does you know, helps with nausea and those things whereby you know, like they can be maybe fly under the radar. Like they're not just the crazy chiropractor. It's like, oh, this is like the new thing.
Yep.
So like those are the ideas that I have of how to share and support practice members or whatever as they move towards being healthier for either preconception or you know, during pregnancy or whatever. So I'd love, like, if you have ideas and you're watching this now or later, if you have like some really like genius ideas as well, I'd love to see them. Please put them in the chat section. I did a webinar with Trina Felber. She owns Primal Life Organics.
Oh, uh-huh.
And she's a nurse anesthetist by trade, and wanted to solve her own health issues and that of her children, well, her daughter. And so she created Primal Life Organics. And I never knew, like, this is embarrassing to say, and it's on live, but that's fine. The connection of the oral meridians and our teeth to our organs. And so she was just talking about how when a tooth forms, it's connected to an organ, and how important oral health is to a viable pregnancy.
Huge. Yeah.
Never knew. So like, I mean, so that would be another thing, right? Like you, if you're making up a thing for pregnant or wanting to be pregnant mamas, I would encourage you to go to Primal Life Organics. I'll drop my link in here. For the dirty mouth paste, it's clay and like all kinds of yummy stuff to help get a basic pH in your mouth. But I was like, wow, I'm in the healthcare field and I don't know some of these things. And so I just also want to encourage those of you who are watching, like, this lady's a genius. That one. And that's why every year I have her come back to the Business Plus Boot Camp, which you keep seeing the thing on the bottom of our screen. And the Business Plus Boot Camp used to be known as a pediatric boot camp. And Monika, I think this 4th year, she has spoken at it every year that I've done it. And you know, one of the things that I've made a change on this year, if you've been to it before, you haven't been, is every speaker speaking for 30 minutes. And then they'll at the end of those 30 minutes, they're going to give you their two main takeaways. Two main takeaways because of Miller's Law. Remember Miller's Law? They redid it in 2000, that our brain isn't 7 plus or minus 2 bits of information at a time. It's 4 plus or minus 2. So the two main ideas, and then how you can implement that into your practice immediately. And then every speaker will have 10 minutes to teach you how to implement those two things. And then you get to ask questions. And so for me, it also just kind of moves from this surviving, thriving to bliss and seminars, right? Like how many times do we sit in seminars too and we just start judging ourselves of, I'm so dumb, I don't know how to do this, what about this, what about that? And so I just want you guys to come and join us February 23rd through the 25th. Monika speaking, lots of great speakers, just amazing community and content. I've got lots of love, overspilling with love that I want to share with you. I'm a hugger. If you haven't met me, then I don't pick up on the signs you don't like to be hugged. I'm just going to tell you, like, I don't have that shift. So it's coming. um, but if you want a great way to start the year and learn and to actually feel really good at a seminar when you get back to the office on Monday, because you just are going to have 2 action steps from all these genius people, then the Business Plus Bootcamp is right for you. It is a virtual option and a live option. We do have CEs. And Monika, what can you offer about this awesome event that we do every year?
You are gonna leave with so much up to date, current pearls that are so important and pertinent to today's practice. It's really an incredible way to stay cutting edge and to differentiate yourself from a lot of other practicing chiropractors in your region, because you're going to be so current on important knowledge. And you just gave me a awesome idea of one of my takeaways, but I'm not going to tell anybody right now.
And you all get, any registrant gets a 60-day replay. So for 60 days after the event, whether virtual or live, you have a link and you can watch it as many times as you want. If you come live and your team stayed behind to take care of your practice members, then just like set out that you're going to go through all of the training with your team, so you guys are all on the same page. I think it's really important that our CAs and even your biller is exposed to what you're learning. I mean, think about it. If you have one person, oftentimes chiropractors in practice feel like they're the only ones with their head in the harness pulling, because they're the only ones that are getting poured into.
Yeah.
Right. So I encourage you, bring them with you. Our first year, I rented one Airbnb called the Boot Camp House for us to stay in. This year, I have rented 5. And if you haven't done a boot camp slumber party yet, you're missing out. This year, we even have a couple's house. So if you come with your spouse, you can stay together. Doctors Brianna and Barry Powderly are like house parents for that one. And, it's just a really fun way to, at the end of a seminar, put on your jammies and grab a bowl of popcorn and, talk and recognize that you are not alone. You're not broken. You don't need fixing. And we are definitely all in this together.
Right.
So as we close up, Monika, what final words do you want to say to everybody before we say goodbye?
Don't say goodbye. Join us.
Just this one.
Say goodbye for right now, but join us in February.
Yes, join us in February. There's a link in the comment section. I'll make sure it pops in there again. And, also please know how we can help you. I know this lady really well, and she knows me well. And I can tell you that both of us, we love helping. There's no, I've not met a dumb question yet. And, we want to help, but here's the deal. We can't read your minds. So we don't know what you need help with. We don't know when you need help. You may just need, if you love to pray, I love to pray. You're welcome to reach out to me and be like, hey, Barb, can you just pray with me? And I'll be like, yeah. So please just take that step towards us. We'll be right here. I promise. So Monika, I love you. It's always so great to be with you, and thank you for continuing to learn and grow and be on research panels and bring those details back to us. I really appreciate you.
Well, I love you back, and we're all just trying to pay it forward, right? So everybody out there, hang in there. You are not alone. You are
Not.
not alone.
All right, everyone, have a great day. See ya. Bye.